Buenos dias, abuelo, abuela, tio, tia, mama, papa, hermoso, hermosa, amigo, amiga. Welcome back to our second lesson. And don't forget, wear your mask when you're out in public. Don't forget also social distancing. Soap your hands properly. Make sure you see that rich lather. Rinse it out. Do it as often as possible. Okay, let's see what are we going to do today. Right. Share from the beginning. Okay, so we are looking at from our last lesson, we are using the work from the last lesson and we are looking at mixed media. We are coloring via mixed media. So I'm sure a lot of you have paints, you have crayons, you have colored pencils, you have oil pastels. Those are just some of the media that we are going to use today. We are just using that today. There are others we can use to create color or to give color to an image. All right. So we had our last image representing a girl coming out of her home, looking out at the sky. It's 2021. Remember too, I must stress the point that when you're drawing, you have a baseline. And we could create a baseline with a background, which which I used the mountains. Okay? A lot of you I noticed, I observed that you drew your girl, you drew your house, and there was no background. So therefore the girl looks suspended. We always need to have a horizontal line. All right? So that gives the illusion that the person is near. It also gives you something too. It also tells you she's in the foreground. In the foreground, that's what's in the front. We are seeing her home, an open doorway. She's probably in her yard. In the background is the mountains and she's looking up at the sky. All right, let's get into coloring. Okay, so now we're going to use our colorings. We're going to use our crayons. The reason why I want to use crayons because of its nature, it's wax. Wax tends to be very brilliant and it's also very resilient to water. So where I use the crayons, I use it for the sky. Now we also created fireworks. Notice I used tones of colors to create the fireworks. When you saw the fireworks, I'm sure you saw the burst of different colors. So we want that effect. We want all those colors. And we want also those colors in the night sky. Notice too that 2021, it was outlined and highlighted. When I say outlined, I mean that the pencil work, and that's what we use pencil for. The pencil is to draw. Now we need to make the image pop. We need that image to come forward. We want to see what it is. Okay, so 2021, we only want hope, good hope, prosperity, health, and strength. So we use those bright colors. So I outline my first number in red and inside purple, outline purple, inside yellow, outside green, inside orange, outside purple, inside pink. Now we could say it in Spanish. Rojo, marrón, marrón, amarillo, verde, naranja, marrón, rosa. All right. So notice too, I colored and I tried as much no white spaces. Okay. So that is how we use the crayons. Okay. Crayons, you don't, and if you don't have crayons, I know some of you might have oil pastels. You can use oil pastels. I want that. Okay. Because I want that brilliance and I want the effect of the wax. Let's see what the effect of the wax is. So the fireworks happens in the night sky, the dark sky. So to create the dark sky, I used a wash. Notice it is not heavy, it is not black. It's a wash. More water, less paint. So this is my container. You can actually see it is watery and I was able to paint my sky and the colors used from before are able to come forward. So therefore we have our sky further back, which is not just a white sky. is a dark sky. And in the foreground, we can see the numbers, we can see the fireworks coming forward. We can also see the brilliance of everything. All right? Like it actually is. The next technique we're going to use for painting is the mountains. Now, notice I used three different colors of paints. I just remembered I did not show you all how to do that. Okay, so here is my palette. Let me just stop to share for 1 minute. Okay, so this is my palette. So on my palette, I put my different tones of green. So I have my dark green, my blue, and here's where I mixed. Okay, now when you look at something, so let me just get that for you. Okay, so if we look at this little statue, it's white, right? But if you look at the white, where the light is hitting it, it's a little bit brighter, it's a little bit darker, okay? And I could even make it a little more dramatic. I'm going to put another light onto it. Ah, can you see? So where the light is shining, it's very, very light, almost blinding white. And where it's not, it's light, okay? Hence the reason why I created tones. Okay, so I had my different tones of green. I used green with blue. I had green, so I had a splotch with green. I had blue, and then I mixed the green and blue together. So I had it separate like this. Okay, so let's return to screen share. Okay, so the technique used is called dabbing. Now, I wanted to create the texture of the mountains. When I say texture, the mountains is not smooth. Mountains are made up of trees. Okay, so to create that illusion of trees or to give the effect of trees, you take your paintbrush and you dab. This is called dabbing. So what I did, I dipped into my palette, okay, and I dabbed. And I just want to show you something. So here are my dark areas where the light probably from the fireworks did not show, but the light areas was light green. So here's my dark, here's my light, here's my dark, here's my light. You could leave a little bit of light, not too much, okay, because when you look at mountains, yes, it is green, but it has different tones of green. Okay, so I want to see different tones of green and I want to see your texture by the way you dab. So you're not stroking, you're taking the paintbrush. Let me just stop share again. So stroking is left to right on the page. What I want you to do is dab in, okay? I prefer a small paintbrush because you want to represent each tree. If you use a large paintbrush, it'd be big trees. No, no, no. The mountains is made up of many, many trees. So you dabble. All right? So let's get back into sharing again. So, okay. Right. So now we are coming to the end and we are coloring using color pencils now. So notice the grass, which is in the foreground. So I first, those lessons before is the background. Now we are looking at the foreground. So I use my normal green colored pencils, right? I use a light green, color the grass green and a darker one just to give me one or two strokes because it's not a flat green that the grass is. There are tones in it. So you want to put one or two blades of grass. You notice that her clothes too, I outlined in a darker color, colored in a lighter color, dark color, light color. Even her hair, her face, it's all outlined. Because if you look carefully, oh, I'm a perfect example. Let me show you. Let's look at me. Oops. Stop share. Okay. So you can see that my hair, right? If I were to color this, if I were to draw it out, you would see there are different tones. It's kind of blacky gray. This section here is blacky gray. So I would use black lines, I could use blue lines, right? And I could also use gray lines and then color in lightly. Okay, so let's go back to that again. Pick that picture, right? So with the girl, her hair is brown, so I use like black lines, light brown lines, and then I colored in between. Her face, we also outline. It was pencil. I outline on a light brown, and then color her skin. I put a little blush on her face. Also, if you look at the house too, everything in the house is outlined. If you want to leave a white room, fine. The inside of the house, you would have been, your lights would have been on, you come outside to see what's happening on our New Year's Day. Okay? So, so this is my own here. You can see it a little better here, right? You are free to choose. You're free to choose any colors that you want. Don't use black though, because the sky is already black, right? You're free to choose any colors that you want for your image. You could alter your door a little bit. I would like to see the light inside because I want you to think about what you're doing. You could design your door a little more, make it a little more fancy. You could put things on her clothes. You can do that. You design. But I'm particularly looking at your use of medium. I'm looking at your techniques. All right. I'm looking at how you interchange with your crayons or your colored pencils, right? And also, though, but I want to see that wash. Remember, a wash is more water, less paint. All right, girls, that's the end of our lesson. Don't forget safe practices, wear your mask, social distancing, wash your hands. Adios, hasta la vista.